Good morning, this is TCR, TroyCommunityRadio.com. I'm Clint Myers on 1071 WTJN for David Denoyer on TCTV. It's time for the Mayor's Report, and with me, Mayor Michael Beamish. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Clint, and good morning, David, and good morning, all the listeners out there. It's been a beautiful week, hasn't it, Clint?
Oh, absolutely. A little bit of rain and lots of sunshine.
Well, you know, and the temperatures are really at the level that I was hoping for in springtime, and you know, a lot of people getting out, taking walks, wellness. I see people on bicycles, you know, and we probably ought to mention motorcycles are out there too. So
Yes.
we got to be a little more careful.
Just keep that extra eye out. Just another reason to put the phone down when you're driving, and because you need to stay focused on the road,
especially this time of year.
Yes.
Where the motorcycles are out and they're small, and yet they have the right to the road just like everybody else. So let's give a little shout out for safety here today, and say with the weather being nice, it's also a great time for people to get out and about. We need to be careful and keep a watchful eye over everybody around, so we all stay safe to enjoy the season.
Perfect sentiment there. For sure. Stay safe.
Thank you.
You know what I've noticed in just a couple of days, these trees downtown, how the buds have turned into full-on green and leaves coming out.
Well, yes, and I'm going to share a little bit earlier. We had a report from our personnel committee. I've recommended 2 new members to the beautification committee.
Ah.
They do an awful lot, and people don't always realize what they do, but they look for beauty in our environment, and they try to highlight that. Plus, they put a lot of their own time, energy, and expertise into beautifying our community. So a shout out to the beautification committee.
I'll tell you what, if anyone wants to see what happens with the beautification committee, they can come down and hang out with me early morning on the morning show, because it's those wee early hours of the morning that they're out watering plants, they're weeding over on the fountain, and there's a lot of time and a lot of folks that put a lot of work into that beauty.
And so many people from outside in our region that do come down to downtown Troy always comment on the beauty of our downtown and surrounding areas. Let's not forget Operation Cloverleaf.
Yes.
All those landscaping companies come together to monitor and maintain our interchange on Route 41 and I-75. And boy, what a beautiful look coming into Troy.
And they're doing the courthouse lawn now.
Absolutely. Thanks, Clint. The same group is tackling in close to downtown, our courthouse. And again, it's all about making our city look attractive for those guests that want to come in and enjoy the ambiance of Troy, Ohio, USA.
I'm going to say it before you do today, where civic pride is citywide.
Thank you, Clint.
You had council this week.
We did have council on Monday, April the 18th. I'll just mention the next time we have council will be on May 2nd, a full council meeting. So it seems like a long way away, but it'll
go fast.
We had a number of things on our council agenda. First of all, we did have 3 public hearings, all dealing with either some kind of a zoning change. We had the Trader annexation, which goes from an agricultural out in the county to a city agricultural zoning. We asked for comments pro or against, and we had no comments on that Trader annexation. So that moved down on the agenda. We also had the Cheney annexation, again going from a county zoning to an M2 light industrial zoning, and we asked for comments, again for or against, and had no comments on that, so that moved on to the agenda. And then finally, we just had a general zoning request to go from an M2 light industrial and B2 general business district to the single zoning of B2 general business district. That's out there by Bruckner Drive, that area.
Okay.
And again, asking for solicited comments from the audience, and there was no comments made, so that dropped down onto the agenda for the evening. The agenda itself had a number of issues, a couple of emergency issues. I'll share that with you, but the one was to look at the farmland of the part of the annex to Paul Duke Farm. We called it the Hewells Camp Annex,
Right.
but we are now changing that to the Duke Park, because it'll be connected to Duke Park, extending Duke Park out. And that allows us to continue farming the land until we need it for use of. So there's about 69 acres there, and so we'll be looking for bids to how people might want to continue farming that land until we need it for public use. So that was passed. We had 8 members of council present for city council, and it passed 8-0. One that was an emergency was ODOT consent legislation. ODOT, Ohio Department of Transportation, and that's a resurfacing program that they're going to be due on State Route 718 in 2017. You do these things way in advance, and the good thing is the project is at no cost to the city. But we do have to have consent legislation for them to move forward.
Okay.
And that was emergency, so they can get on their docket and plan for again.
Get it scheduled. Even though it's scheduled out, sounds like a year from now. It's there.
That's
ready
right.
To go.
That's right. And that passed 8-0 too, with no concerns. We also had a transfer of part of Lot 91. The best way to say this is the land behind the Lincoln Community Center. There's always been some issue who owns certain parts of the Lincoln Community Center. And we do know that we had some responsibility as a city. So what we are doing is putting that into the hands of the Troy City School District, the Board of Education, so that Lincoln Center can consolidate all the ownership into one umbrella.
Okay.
It's for their future.
It does make sense.
Yes, it makes sense. You got all these little entities having a hand in things, that we can consolidate it. That makes it a lot more easily ready to, if they want to, Lincoln Community Center, which we know has done a great job in our community. If they want to expand or look at expansion plans, it gives them a lot easier flexibility to do that. So council again moved 8-0 to support that move to the Troy Board of Education. So that passed. The last piece of resolution that we did, or excuse me, an ordinance, was to look at the Treasure Island. We are planning to have at least 3 major concerts down there. And since it's a unique facility with a lot of possibilities, we were looking at emergency legislation so that we can go in, look at, say, liquor permitting for certain events. Now,
Okay.
the mayor's always been a big family man and wants to
Yes.
see, and that will continue. This will be selected, much like we do at the Hobart Arena.
Okay.
Some of the events we have where we may serve alcoholic beverages, we want to have it a controlled environment. So to do that requires council's action to support that, number one, along with the Board of Park Commissioners. I want to mention them. They've been very supportive of trying to develop the park as well. And then it takes a long process to get all those applications put together. But the first step is to see if council will support that. And that was emergency legislation, which they voted 7-1, which still passed with a large majority to move forward with that project. Now we come to those public hearings. We drop down into the agenda, and they were read as on the agenda. But they were moved to a third reading in all 3 of those cases that I talked about earlier. The Trader annexation, the Cheney annexation, and the going from M2, B2 to just strictly a B2 zoning. The reason for that is President Marty Baker appoints subcommittees to look into those, so they have another opportunity for people to comment on and move that then forward. So that will move to the May 2nd agenda as a third reading, which means they can act on it if they choose as a full council at the May 2nd. And my guess is they will meet prior to that as a subcommittee, and with no comments being made yet, my guess is they will continue to support those three pieces of legislation for rezoning and change of zoning. So, but one of the things that we talked about earlier is the beautification committee.
Oh,
there
yes.
was another report made by John Terwilliger, who is in charge of personnel, at the recommendation of the mayor to full council, asking for their blessing and approval. We have actually we have 3 spots on beautification open. 2 of those were going to be filled and were voted on unanimously. And those 2 individuals is Mary Davis, a local person,
Okay.
and many people as an educator know Phyllis Dawkins' name in the educational world here in Troy. And both of them have said yes to their appointment to the beautification committee. Both of them have experience as master gardeners.
Now, there we go.
So, they bring an expertise to an already great, as we already talked about, the beautification committee. So actually, we just enhanced the committee structure by adding those 2. We are looking at another person who's shown an interest that would fill out the whole committee. We would be 100% full, but we do have 1 unexpired term yet to fill, and we'll be working on that for the May 2nd council meeting. So basically, we had some other discussions, which is certainly a good thing to have, healthy discussions on different issues. We went into executive session, continuing to talk about some of our negotiations in the future. So it was a rather lengthy meeting, but a productive meeting, as they all are. So that pretty much covers the council. And again,
that sounds like there was a lot going on in council.
It was, and we covered a lot of bases, literally. And May 2nd will be the next council meeting.
Of course, council is always open for people to come. They can sit in. You do that the 1st and 2nd of the month. And then they could, if they can't make it, they can watch it live.
Absolutely.
TroyOhio.gov.
Absolutely, so they can get an idea of what goes on. But I have to keep continually saying, just as you 2 do a wonderful job promoting our community, these elected officials, they do it out of the love of the community. They live in the community, they pay their taxes in the community, they make decisions that they have to live with as well. And I will say, working with this council over many years, and different people come and go, but they all do their due diligence.
All right. Something I can't wait to see happen, and that's the fountain.
Should be coming on soon.
That's what I was thinking. Earlier this week, I saw a truck out there, and I got all excited. I thought they were going to...
Got to check the pipes. Got to make everything's working before we fire it up. And a lot of people wonder about that fountain. The wind dictates if the fountain once
is
it
on
comes
or
on,
off.
it comes on or off. So it doesn't spray as people driving through town if we have a heavy windy day. So, it's on a monitor system as well. But yeah, it should be.
I've seen the little wind speed.
Yep, that's it.
That's over there on the square with the fountain.
That's it.
That thing gets to whip it around, and it does. It'll shut the fountain down, and smart. It's just smart.
Absolutely. But it'll be fun. When that fountain comes on, we're getting real close.
Close to summer.
And
the
Strawberry Festival.
That's going to be coming up here pretty soon as well. Acapello berries this year.
Interesting, but our chair, Nathan Walters, he's a barbershopper and he loves music. And I remember having him as a student over at Cookson School, and he was in one of all of our musical productions there. And so it didn't surprise me that he came up with that kind of a theme.
All right. Now, you also had a Special Mayor's Youth Council that you met with them.
This past week we met. I try to meet with the teen leaders, and we talk to the Leadership Troy members. These are the older, young adults and teens. But we also have a group called the Mayor's Youth Council. These are 5th and 6th graders. They have a 2-year term. And one of the things we do every year with them is have a little strategic planning session. We got to remember, these young people are still real attuned to their community. and we need to listen to some of the ideas that they have as we move forward. And so we meet with them and we ask them two things. And we do brainstorming, and then we do rank ordering. They have so many opportunities to rank what they said as to most important to least important. And so we don't discourage any comments to be put on the board. But these are 5th and 6th graders sharing their thoughts of what is good about Troy. You know, we talk about it, but we want to hear from the young people. What's good about Troy? And then what could be improved? Not what's bad, what can be improved? How do we make our community even better? And so we met with them this past week and gave them the opportunity to list all their thoughts of what's good and then all their thoughts of what can be improved. It's interesting, you know, being in 5th and 6th graders, obviously sometimes city and school mix together. And we use that as an educational time to tell them that the Board of Education works with the school and the superintendent to make the schools better. The city works with the mayor and the council and administration to make the city better, and sometimes they intertwine and sometimes they're two separate entities. But we let the youngsters list those things, and then we will sort it out, give a council a copy, give our department heads as appropriate copy, give the school system a copy of what their results were. I find it always interesting that there's a lot of consistencies year to year with the different groups of Mayor's Youth Council and how they tie closely into teens and how they closely tie to the young leaders of tomorrow. There's many similarities. This year's group, very articulate, very respectful, very conscious of what's going on. They like the educational system. They like their teachers. They like the Troy High School band. And believe it or not, they like the mayor. So it's always...
Well, don't we all?
Well, thank you. But you know, it's nice to say because the mayor's facilitating, they might just be courteous. But I asked them, I turned that question around after they selected that and asked them, what about the mayor's job do they like? And guess what? They talk about the programs, the events, the activities that have been brought into our community. That makes me feel really good because they back it up with ideas and thoughts of things to do. So recreations, restaurants always are big. Nature, Bruckner Nature Center always comes in, school system obviously. But we list everything and then we give copies. Now improves, it's interesting. Again, schools become a part of their daily life. And of course, they look at their facilities and everybody likes air conditioning. That surfaces to the top of young people. And I ask them again that question of why? I mean, why? Well, it may, you know, on hot days you just don't think clear. You know, they know why they want something for the betterment of what they think in their educational program. Movie theaters always enter into it, things like that. Restaurants, again, they always have a restaurant or two they'd like to see come to Troy. And then we were showing them like Chipotle's and
well, you have Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A coming and Marion's. You know, these are ideas that have surfaced over the years by other groups, and look what we got. So they see that maybe their ideas may just happen here in Troy. Dairy Queen, we had a Dairy Queen. It always surfaces as a possible hope for the future to improve.
Well, who doesn't like ice cream on a hot day?
Yeah, absolutely. But they also looked at retail. They looked at entertainment facilities. But it was really nice that they had a chance to give their thoughts, and we put it in print, and we give those copies to our council, to department heads, to the school system, so that they have that interest and ideas to help them in their planning for the future.
Well, about all I could say is look at us grow. You don't have to look very far for what is growing here in Troy. Circle K is going up. Friendly's is already down. I can't believe how far along they are with that project. The Chick-fil-A we'll have here in town, and plus all the additions that we've got with Treasure Island, the additions to Hobart Arena,
and keeping our downtown vibrant. As
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
So, yeah, but it's controlled. It's controlled growth, and population has gradually increased, but not ballooned. So we haven't overextended to where we.
Nice steady growth.
Yes, nice. That's a good way to say it, Clint. Nice and steady. We have expansion plans with our bigger businesses. We have a vibrant downtown outreach. We have new businesses coming in. I'm feeling pretty good right now, basically, with the kind of amenities, the quality of life, and the services that are being provided to not only our citizens, but our visitors that have come into our community.
All right. Well, Mayor, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think
in
we've
this
covered a
morning?
lot of
I
bases,
think we
as
do
we
too.
always do. And I just, again, thank you both for allowing us to be a part of the program and to share our message to our community.
Thank you so much. This has been the Mayor's Report with Mayor Michael Beamish. I'm Clint Myers on 107.1 WTJN for David Denoyer on TCTV.